Are you ready?
It's showtime, folks!
Wow, man, freaked out!
Give me a hell yeah!
Throwdown Nation, what is going on? Let me welcome you to a semi-impromptu roundtable live stream. We're doing this at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on a Saturday, which is 2 p.m. Pacific Time for my broadcast partner. For those of you that may not know him, Steven Calozzi, indie wrestler extraordinaire and a hell of a guy. We talked earlier, and we're doing this because unless you've been living under a rock, you know that late yesterday afternoon, pretty much through the remainder of last night, was the annual post-WrestleMania WWE talent purge. And yikes, did a lot of people get their walking papers. So we've got feelings, we've got opinions, and what better way to vent our spleens than to get on here with the nation and let it out. So, like I said, a lot of people unfortunately got their pink slips from WWE yesterday, and you hate to see people lose their jobs in any circumstance, but especially in this economy.
Right.
And, and there were some that were honestly a bit of a shock. Altogether, 24 people got cut yesterday. And we'll start with the Wyatt Six. The entire faction got cut. Bo Dallas / Uncle Howdy, Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan, Dexter Loomis or Sam Shaw. Man, the thing about the Wyatt Six, man, their debut was absolutely brilliant. That original debut that they did couldn't have been done any better. But I feel like creative essentially dropped the ball after that.
100%. It's a classic case. How many times have we seen it before where, someone or an entire faction has like this incredible debut that's been built up, that's been hyped up, and then the second that they start getting into feuds or storylines or any sort of segments, like it was white hot, it burned fast, and then immediately like the Wyatt Six storyline just plummeted. And we'll get into all the reasons why, but it is a shame. And like you were just saying, Matt, it's really tough that that so many performers are let go, given their walking papers, like you said. In the amount of time that I've been doing this, I can tell you and whoever else is watching that professional wrestling is very, very, very hard, very difficult. The action of putting a match together itself is very difficult. A lot of moving pieces. The actual performance itself in front of the crowd, albeit it is fun, it's very hard. It's very hard to do. And then on top of that, the ridiculous work cycle, the plane rides, the car trips, trying to live life with the WWE schedule and everything like that, the anxiety of performing on TV all the time.
Yep.
It is the furthest thing from an easy life out there. Yet, whether you're like me on the indie scenes or, you're a top tier performer like the 24 that got released, that's what you do. And it sucks because at that level, it's people's livelihoods. So it's
Yep.
unfortunate. Meanwhile, corporate is posting record high profits and everything like
Yep.
that. So you hate to see
Yep.
it.
Yep. You do. You do. As far as potential landing areas for the folks that are the Wyatt Six. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and give my opinions here. I see Eric Rowan honestly likely retiring. He's not a spring chicken.
Sure.
I don't know how much abuse he has put his body through, but he's a big guy, and I know that bigger guys sometimes end up with knee issues, hip issues, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Now, Bo Dallas or Uncle Howdy or whatever you want to say, I could actually see possibly him, Joe Gacy, and Loomis or Sam Shaw, whatever you want to call him, actually possibly staying together as a mini faction and maybe going to TNA or AEW.
Sure.
I was thinking about it earlier. I wouldn't actually mind seeing them go to TNA and maybe do something with the Righteous,
Mm,
with Vincent and Dutch, because
right.
I could see some synergy between those two groups. Just a thought.
Right. I could see that too. I don't know the legality behind, because I know TNA and WWE still have their working relationship. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, I don't know where the legality lies in that if you're released from a WWE contract, what that means going to TNA and having a
Yeah,
contract
I don't
there.
either.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So I would imagine, because WWE has a history of I guess sort of like strict no complete yeah, complete compete clauses.
right.
And especially if it's, like TNA. Um, some of my friends who have worked with TNA before have said that, especially now with WWE kind of being there, they're very controlling of TNA. So if anybody in AEW, uh, ever crosses paths with someone from TNA, like,
Yeah,
that's how it goes. So I don't know what that would look like if that would be like an easy shoe in or whatever. But it's never outside of the possibility or the realm of possibility, I suppose. Anything's possible in wrestling. So
yeah. And as far as Nikki Cross goes, I
mm,
could see her potentially staying with a possible little mini faction, or maybe just going off and doing her own thing by herself. I don't know.
sure. Yeah, she could return to the superhero character too, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's
joking.
yeah,
Um, yeah, which I still think is one of the weirdest like pivots for a gimmick ever, but that's neither here nor there. Um, yeah, I agree. I think I mean, really everybody once they're released from their WWE contract can go and make a killing on the independents.
oh
Um,
for sure. Yeah,
so yeah, Nikki could go back to TNA. She could also just, you know, try her hand at traveling all around because there are several people out there on the independents, both now and that are now back in the WWE that made an absolute killing, just like touring around all over the country doing show to show to show. So it's
yeah,
possible.
yep. It is. It is. You know, Kairi Sane is a
Mm-hmm.
weird one
Mm-hmm.
because, she's been in the middle of this semi high profile storyline with Asuka, against Io Sky and to some extent Rhea Ripley.
Right.
And, she was kind of a big part of what was going on there. So I'm not sure where that goes. I suspect they'll probably just drop the entire storyline, and I guess it's kind of the end of the Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah, yeah. I was just
Um,
about to say, like the Kabuki Warriors are like, aren't they like the most like successful, arguably the most successful women's tag team in company history? Like,
yeah,
um, somebody correct me on this, but I know they've held the belts multiple times. Um, I know Oscar for sure. I don't know about Kyrie Sane, but I know Oscar for sure is a good merch pusher. Um, with between the masks and the shirts and all the other odds and ends and everything like that, she's still super popular. So was Kyrie Sane. And them as an act, yeah, like they were like, they were always putting on good matches. Like they weren't like lost in the shuffle.
no,
And they literally had the belts. What like, um, did they didn't lose them at Mania, right? They lost them like a couple weeks before Mania, if I remember
right,
correctly.
yeah, yeah,
Right. Yeah. So it just like that one just totally came out of nowhere. Like did not
yeah,
expect that at all. It's weird too that Asuka is, you know, still still there.
yeah.
Um, so it's, you know, I don't know, but
Now, I mean, I guess potentially at this point, I could see maybe Io Sky ends up with Asuka, and they do a new sort of a new Kabuki Warriors type of thing, perhaps.
sure.
That there was some rumbling that they were talking about doing some kind of a faction with some of the Japanese women and possibly Nakamura, which that would have been an interesting thing to do and kind of explore.
Right.
But who knows at this point? But
Yeah.
Kyrie Sane's she's going to be fine. Whether
Yeah.
she goes to another company stateside or goes back to Japan or
Hmm.
whatever, she's going to be fine. But like you, it was just an odd cut. It was one
Yeah.
that really I would never have seen that coming.
Right. And I guess it's going to be like a little bit of a running theme, and I'll certainly repeat myself here. Like all of these performers are going to be fine,
Oh yeah,
in one way or another. Um, there's a lot to there's I mean, it's going to be a little bit harder, obviously, but there's so much wrestling. Like there's I joke with my friends all the time, but there's like too much wrestling right now. Like just with how
yeah,
many promotions there are, whether they're live streaming on YouTube or they got, an IWTV deal, there is so much wrestling right now.
yep.
And Atlanta, like, back in Atlanta, Matt, where your neck of the woods, like just the amount of promotions over there alone in like the
Oh, it's
downtown Atlanta
crazy.
area, yeah, it's
Yeah,
insane. Like if one really wants to in Atlanta alone, you can have work every weekend of the month. Like literally, you're going show to show to show to show to show to show, weekend and weekend and weekend and weekend. So these wrestlers that are coming out now, they got connections, they got the name recognition. So there's going to be companies like reaching out, hand over basket, just giving them huge payouts to come to their show. And it's the way it's always been. And some people take advantage of that and make a killing. Big example that comes to my mind is Mustafa Ali when a couple years ago when he was
hmm,
just on a tear, um, like just totally reinvented himself. Um,
yep.
so there's no doubt in my mind that all like as long as these people you know, put some effort into it and kind of leverage like the right connections and everything like that, they're gonna be fine,
Yeah.
But still shocking and still unfortunate nonetheless.
Yep. 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 Motor City Machine Guns. To me, this is another case of WWE snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they brought in arguably one of the best tag teams in the last 20 years
Yep.
and did virtually nothing with them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and there was so much they could have done, but I mean, to me, this is just another confirmation that the company in its present iteration really doesn't place a ton of value on tag team wrestling.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Very, very, it's ironic because it's a very like Vince-ism, because it's a big open running joke that Vince McMahon hated tag team wrestling, and I'm not going to put words in the guy's mouth, but I think I've heard several people actually say that Vince does not like tag team, like he doesn't get tag team wrestling. So that's why WWE has a little bit of reputation for, you know, their tag team championships going to like randomly thrown together tag teams, like literally throughout its history.
yep,
Um, which is a shame because you got dudes like the Motor City Machine Guns or even the Kabuki Warriors who make good teams and have good chemistry with each other, and then they're able to take that chemistry and have it with good opponents. Um, and it dilutes like the whole premise of the tag team wrestling as a whole, which can be very profitable from a business perspective. Like tag team wrestling is very popular, very dynamic matches.
mm-hmm,
I've never seen a crowd sitting at any of the shows I've been to. I've never seen them sitting for a tag match. There's
mm-mm,
you know, some of the highest octane, like there's always something going on in a tag match. There's always moving pieces. Um,
yep,
and one last thing, when the Motor City Machine Guns won the SmackDown belts a little while ago, like there were like ever since I think it was what Mania 40, right, where they split the tag team championships and they brought in the
yeah,
the WWE and the World Tag Team. I remember there was a lot of buzz right around that time that WWE was finally gonna take like consistent take on their tag team wrestling. That they were gonna, because they literally revamped the belts and they were gonna
yep,
invest heavy in tag teams. And when the Motor City Machine Guns won the belts, a couple months after that, or a couple months, or maybe it was a year, I don't know, but like a lot of hope still that like WWE's finally giving a chance to tag team wrestling, but it's always
nah,
going to be peaks and valleys.
yep,
So
yep.
yeah,
I think for them, AEW is probably the most likely
yeah,
destination, and I mean really, they've got a lot of teams there that I think the Machine Guns could have a good time with. So
yeah, yeah, for sure.
so Alba Fire, she was doing great work with Chelsea and Piper, in the whole
Hmm.
Secret Harvest thing, and it's another one that I don't entirely get. I don't really get it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, um, random. Like every year, it always like just super random. Like wow, like he's gone, she's gone. Like and yeah, she's another like um I don't want to drag on and keep talking, but like um I don't know, like the list that came out last night of all the people that were released, like yeah, it's super random, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So um yeah, right in the middle of things too, as
yeah,
she was. So
yeah. Um, and as far as she goes, I'm thinking likely TNA or maybe to the Indies. I
yeah,
don't really know. Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. This is another one that I really didn't see coming. Again, they were doing good work that seemed to be being well received by the crowds. And I mean, they hadn't been back with the company terribly long, maybe right around a year.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is Zelina Vega has come out and said that when they got the call came from TKO and not from WWE itself. So it came from above WWE management. Which, so you wonder, yeah, how much of what happened yesterday was WWE management and how much of it came from above.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you're dealing with a corporation that may or may not even really understand wrestling. So
right. Yeah. Like it is really interesting to think about where does WWE start and where does TKO start, in the decision making process. And
right.
a lot of blame for everything that's wrong with WWE, the show, the management, the behind the scenes stuff. Like everybody's quick to point the finger at TKO. And I get it. Like if there's a call that where something or somebody that the fans enjoy and then the businessmen that don't understand wrestling get involved, I could see where the frustration lies, but people are kind of forgetting that WWE has a very long track record, like I said, of just random releases. Like if you remember, Matt, a couple years ago, I think the weirdest one, the most shocking one ever, was in 2021. And I literally remember where I was. I think I was at Air Assault School, Army Air Assault School, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I remember hearing that Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman both got released in the same day. And I was like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, that makes zero sense. Like, of all people, those two. And that was WWE pre TKO. TKO was nowhere near a thing yet. So, it's valid for people to be all like, "Oh, TKO this, TKO that," but that doesn't mean WWE's hands are entirely clean either, because this is a long history of just very weird, very like random releases, and yeah, like you might know more than I. Didn't she come out on her like podcast or something? Like, because I was browsing Instagram earlier and I saw Zelina Vega like, like a couple different times, and it's like the one where she's like wearing her beanie and she's got like the microphone. So I guess she's like she has like a podcast or she does like streaming too, and I guess she was talking about it, but I didn't pay attention for that long. But is that what you were talking about, where she got the call?
Yeah. She was saying that the call came in a little after 5 yesterday, and
Okay.
she looked at her phone, and the caller ID on the phone was actually TKO.
Hmm.
She was like, "Well, that's kind of odd." So she answered it, and and it was actually somebody from corporate,
Yeah.
basically saying, "Hey, we're letting you go." Um, but yeah, she was. She thought that was odd, and then she was also ticked off because Sean Ross Sapp broke the news before she had a chance to, and she was just pissed off
Yeah.
that she didn't get to basically tell people,
Right.
before the news had gotten out. Which I mean, I get that to some extent, but everybody's trying to break a story, so.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a shame.
It is. It is. But you know, the thing that's also interesting is recently, you know, Zelina and Aleister Black had sort of gotten kind of shoehorned into the role that Cross and Scarlett were playing.
Hmm.
You know, sort of the devil on your shoulder type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I mean, you know, it's just uh, it's another semi odd one, you know.
Sure.
But I mean, I do know that um, the two of them have opened a school and are
Okay.
and so you know, at this point, I could actually see Aleister Black possibly semi-retiring to run his school because Tommy End's been around quite a while, you know.
Okay.
So you know, I don't really know what their finances are and such, but I mean, I could see him potentially doing that, and maybe her going to AEW or TNA or something.
Yeah.
But you know, who knows? Who knows?
Right. Right.
And then Apollo Crews. Honestly, I had forgotten he was still with the company. I mean,
Yeah. Right. I mean, good for him. You know, like
yeah,
that's one that I saw like people were kind of like poking fun at. Um,
yeah,
was like Apollo Crews has been on the books for like 10 years at this point, and like the past couple years he's done like he literally hasn't been on TV in years, I think.
yeah,
And people were like, you know, talk about like fly under the radar, you know, like
yeah,
like that was I mean, good for him, you know. It probably makes no difference in his life right now unless he was like a producer or something. But
yeah.
um yeah, I mean, but Apollo Crews is what was it? When was it was 10 years, almost 10 years ago to the day that because they did the original brain split and Apollo Crews was a part of that. And I remember thinking like this dude's like amazing. Like the most super talented guy, like just from his size, but the moves that he was doing, like all the flips and
Oh yeah,
acrobatics of his moves was incredible. And I remember he had a big feud with the Miz, and then after that kind of just went nowhere. Um and like for a while I was just like, why aren't they doing anything with this guy, you know? Um, so, you know, hopefully now I know for sure that if Apollo Crews decides to go, you know, like either AEW or the independents, like he's gonna be really, really successful. You
yeah,
good there?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Sinuses,
so
folks, you know.
yep.
Yeah.
So another weird one, Santos Escobar. You know,
Mm,
a few months ago, it came out that he was a free agent. Then they brought him back under supposedly some lucrative
yeah.
deal. And he was in, they had sent him down to AAA and he was injured, apparently a torn bicep. And now they've
Mm,
released him again.
that's the worst.
Yeah,
Like wow, like releasing him while he's injured. That's
yeah.
yeah.
They did the same thing with Zoe Stark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They've done it with a bunch of people, you know.
yeah,
That's yeah, that sucks. Like that's probably of everybody that we covered so far, like that's probably the saddest, you
oh
know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as he goes, I could see him returning to Mexico or maybe going to Japan or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? But yeah, Zoe
Right.
Stark, man, she had been out almost a year with a pretty gnarly knee injury.
Hmm.
I remember seeing that happen and just cringing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And apparently, she had just been medically cleared, and they cut
Mm,
her. So yeah, I could.
right.
I could see her maybe doing AEW or back to the Indies or something, but who knows? Who
Sure.
knows?
Again, like it's just like why? Like she just got cleared. She was on the shelf for a year, and it's like like you've invested from a business perspective, you invested so much money into this person's like surgery, repair and rehabilitation. Like, okay, now she's at 100%. Now she's in shape to where she can make you money as a
Yep.
performer, as a merch seller, as a media personality if need be, like every other person on the roster. She's right there. She's like use her for something, and then it's like nope, like and it's just I not much else to say, other than that
Yeah.
it makes zero sense whatsoever. So
And then there were several down in NXT. The most prominent of which was probably Andre Chase.
mhm.
And he'd been down there for a number of years. Doing the whole Chase U gimmick and
Yeah,
all of that. I mean, I tend to think he'll probably go back to the Indies.
yeah,
And same really with the remaining NXT and Evolve talents that got cut. A lot of them, honestly, I wasn't entirely familiar with. So, I mean, you know, I, um, I don't necessarily really have a feel for what's next to them, but probably back to the Indies would be my guess.
yeah, yeah,
But, on a happier note, also yesterday, for the first time since 2019, there was activity on the Lucha Underground Twitter page.
yeah,
They posted a pretty interesting short video,
yeah,
basically kind of hinting at some kind of a return or a
yeah,
resurgence. And I'm in kind of wait and see mode. If they are truly contemplating a return, I'm all for it if it's done right.
right.
Because in my mind, Lucha Underground was such a special thing.
Hmm.
You don't want to do it and sort of hurt the legacy of what they did.
Right.
We don't want to see what WWE did to ECW done to Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
But I don't know who's behind this potential resurgence or what, but it's intriguing if nothing else. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, shout out to AR Fox. Hopefully, we can see my coach back on Lucha Underground because um some of the matches that Fox was involved in. Fox is just a crazy,
Oh,
like
yeah.
athletic dude. And I love that he's on AEW and Ring of Honor all the time, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that I think some of my favorite work that he's done was in Lucha Underground. And yeah, like Lucha Underground, I wasn't, I knew of its existence. I watched a couple episodes, especially when like John Morrison, I remember, was on there too. And that's kind of, super, you know, surface level answer, but that's what kind of made me first turn my head towards Lucha Underground. But I love the format of it, and I love that it was its own unique take on wrestling. And whenever another company brings that unique take on the presentation of their product, I think that's awesome. And
Yep.
uh, Lucha Underground has definitely had more of an impact on uh, today's wrestling. I won't say as much as like when when WWE and was and TNA, I guess, were doing like more cinematic matches, and they were kind of like experimenting a lot. They don't do that as much now, but I think that that aspect of like the soap opera storytelling can be
Yep.
lent a lot from Lucha Underground. And if they come back and they, and they were doing the same format that they were doing, I could see it being successful. But if they decide to switch it up, I think that would be very intriguing. No idea what they might do. But and more wrestling is always going to be good wrestling. Like the more the better.
Yeah.
Um, so I know a lot of people within my own friend circle, but also online, have been clamoring for a long time for Lucha Underground to come back. And there are a lot of very talented people that are, out and about, got nothing better to do on the independent scene. We got 24, what was it, 24 new names on the,
Yep.
release list that, you know, a couple of them could potentially show up and have work.
Yep.
And if the old Lucha Underground is anything to go by, they can make amazing stuff with that. And I think that would be a huge benefit for wrestling as a whole. So I'm excited. I hope this actually goes somewhere. Um, and I hope more importantly that the right people are running it, and that it actually
Yes.
gets proper funding. So,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I'm happy that Lucha Underground is coming back. Or maybe it's just, maybe just the Twitter page is coming back.
Who knows? I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
man. But we had talked briefly last weekend, in the aftermath of WrestleMania. You
Yes.
know, um,
Yes.
I went and rewatched the match between Punk and Roman.
Hmm.
Initially, first viewing, I hated it.
Sure.
Then I went back and reviewed it, and it was actually a very good match.
Yeah.
I was basically just disgruntled with WrestleMania in general, and
Yeah.
I think just my basic disgruntlement with the entire thing led me to have a sour outlook on the whole thing. There were
Sure.
definitely some great moments in the weekend, but in general, it was kind of lackluster.
Right. Right. I think Mania 42 is probably the weirdest wrestling show of all time. Just between the build, between the controversy surrounding being in Las Vegas for a second year in a row, the ticket prices, and the matches themselves and how the show flowed, both night one and night two. I think it's like the weirdest show ever. Like,
Yeah,
and it's a really odd, it's a really odd hodgepodge of tremendous wrestling and the worst that wrestling has to offer, at least on the big stage. Um, the Punk Roman build up, I thought at first was really good. Um, Personally though, I'm all CM Punked out. Like I was big on him when he first came back. I love the feud that he did with Drew and then with Seth. But I feel like, this might be a hot take, but I feel like the CM Punk promos, like leading up to Mania were pretty much all the same. He was using
yeah,
like these idioms of like, I'm an old guy. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm finally at the top of the mountain. I'm gonna stay here, and it's like he just found new ways to just basically say that.
yep,
Um, and it was either he got beat up or Roman got beat up or none of the above. So I feel like they didn't really do anything interesting with that feud. Um, and it sucks because I know behind the scenes, CM Punk, all he ever wanted was the main event, and he finally got it. But I feel like he, you know, not so much Roman Reigns. I feel like CM Punk just kind of shit the bed in the build up. But the saving grace was that the match was good and the right guy went over. Because I was worried for a second, because I swore I could have sworn up and down that Braun Breaker was going to beat him. What was it, the first Raw of the new year? I
oh yeah,
swore, I felt it that like he was gonna like Braun was gonna be the world champion heading into WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. So, part of me thought that CM Punk was somehow gonna go over at Mania. And I'm happy that he didn't. And I was
Yeah.
hoping that CM Punk might take a little bit of a break, enjoy himself for a little bit because he's been going balls to the wall for the past year or so, with all the travel and the amount of time that he's been on TV, but I guess not. But as far as the rest of the show goes, yeah, night one was a little bit of a disaster. I really liked the main
Yeah.
event though. Like the main event was a lot of fun. Um, Night two was significantly better. And it's funny watching all of like the fans be like, you know, night one was terrible. Night two was like one of the best WrestleManias ever. It's really funny seeing that like dichotomy, I guess, going on. Um, but yeah, as a whole, I think WrestleMania 42 leaps and bounds ahead of WrestleMania 41. I think WrestleMania 41 was one of the worst WrestleManias ever. Um, Is it as good as Mania 40 or even 39? No, in my opinion. But Mania 42, I think was, even though it was a really weird show, I think it worked. And I think for what it was all around a decent show. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So the Lesnar retirement, work or shoot?
Yeah. Uh, I think it's a shoot. I don't see any reason why. Like maybe the Gunther match at SummerSlam. I know that's the big rumor right now, but Uh, I see no reason for Brock coming back. He cried in
I
the
don't
ring.
either.
You know,
Yeah. I had actually heard that retirement, he really hadn't told anybody he was going to do that.
right?
He just did it, and I I hear there were a lot of shocked people back at Gorilla, going, "What the
Yeah,
hell is he doing?"
yeah,
So, and yeah, I mean, the emotion that he was expressing appeared genuine. So, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I think he's done.
yeah, yeah,
But again, they may throw a whole bunch of money at him and try to lure him back for one more at SummerSlam. But I mean,
yep,
I don't know if he wants that though. And if he's been halfway smart with his money, he's set. I mean,
yeah, yeah. And it's another thing too. It's Brock that we're talking about here. Like it's one thing if it's like a Ric Flair or Terry Funk, where you just can't stop them from wrestling. Like I'm pretty sure both of them, you know, R.I.P. Terry Funk, but Ric Flair, like I'm pretty sure if it were up to him, he would have 8 more retirement matches from now until the day that he dies.
yeah,
Brock though, and work or shoot, no idea. You really can't tell what a person's thinking at the end of the day. But from what the interviews that he's given away from wrestling, it seems like he doesn't really enjoy wrestling, not nearly to the extent that Ric Flair and Terry Funk did, like, in a
right,
similar case where they just kept coming out of retirement. Brock doesn't care about wrestling like that.
yeah,
Um,
no,
Brock wants to go out in fucking Saskatchewan, Canada, and
and hunt
shoot
moose.
guns and hunt moose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think that's where his passion lies right now. And again,
yeah,
Brock's a businessman at the end of the day. He's been really smart in that regard, where WWE offers him all this ginormous amount of money. He keeps coming back. So is it within the realm of possibility? Absolutely. And I know people want to see that Gunther match, I guess, and that's what they want Brock's last match to be. But
eh,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's just, I think they got the point now that Gunther's the new legend killer. Brock wouldn't really be adding much to that. Um,
no,
not only that, like if I were Lesnar, and I had any semblance of respect for the business, like he does, he put over huge. He made him look like $1 million, like that. Like that's one of the high points of Mania was that people were saying Obafemi looks like a monster now,
yep,
and he does.
yep,
And Brock was, you know, it seems like Brock was happy with, leaving that be. So if he came back at SummerSlam, it would just kind of you know, like it would just kind of spoil that maybe. So I say that he's done. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back for SummerSlam. But you know, I
Yeah.
think I think knowing Brock Lesnar, at least the one that's been portrayed in media and everything, where he says, I don't really care that much about wrestling. It's just I'll go out, perform, do my job.
It's a
I think
means
he's
to an
done.
end. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yep.
I
Yep.
think he's done. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yep. So, we're basically a year out, but I am already dreading Mania 43. I mean,
yeah,
all of the shows that they have had in Saudi Arabia have been just
yeah,
absolute garbage.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm just anticipating a complete Charlie Foxtrot of a WrestleMania.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that was a very I think it's very not to shit on the middle class or the rank and file of the people of Saudi Arabia, the average Joe over there. Um, but I think it's really disrespectful the fact that they chose to have a mania in Saudi Arabia just because of money before they even toyed with the idea of having a mania in Britain. You know,
Absolutely. The first Mania held outside of North America, by God, it should have been in the UK. I
right?
mean,
100% agree with
or
you.
yeah, I mean, and what concerns me is, are the Saudis then going to just throw a whole bunch of money like Las Vegas did
Yeah,
and pull Mania back there?
right. Again and again and again because they can.
Yeah, and TKO will just keep taking the money and and turn WrestleMania into a Saudi Arabian residency, which
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that would be a lot because the whole Saudi thing for close to a decade now has really turned a lot of people off.
yep,
It's aside from just the political side of it, because Saudi Arabia is Saudi Arabia, but the fact that, like you said, it's just had objectively some of the worst matches in not
yep,
just WWE history, in wrestling history as a whole. Like,
yep,
never forget almost seeing The Undertaker get killed,
yeah,
and then him almost killing Goldberg in turn.
yeah,
Never forget that one. But yeah, there's just so many like there's that match, there was the Brothers of Destruction DX match. There was that weird Braun Strowman who was a Tyson Fury match that was really weird.
yeah,
Brock and Cain Velasquez, they just have these just really on paper dream matches or just out there
yeah,
crazy cool matches, but they just all suck. And I'm equally concerned as you are because I get the feeling, especially from the women, that you know the wrestlers phone in the Saudi shows, and for really good reason. Because it's basically a glorified house show. Up
yeah,
until what Royal Rumble, it was a glorified house show, basically.
yep,
It was its own separate, isolated pay per view. Um, but now that it's actually entering I guess the greater canon of WWE shows and the storylines, um, I'm concerned a little bit that the talent are gonna kind of treat just kind of phone it in, because
yep,
they're traveling over a day plus in airfare, and then they're in the desert where it's 120 degrees during the day, and then it's 30 at night, which takes its toll on a body. And on top of it, you're wrestling for arguably one of the most corrupt governments in the world.
Yep.
Because the whole like, the whole Saudi royal family is in attendance front row
Yep.
at every single show. And knowing me, if I were in that position, I would most certainly not be trying to like put my body on the line for a corrupt government like that.
No.
And yeah, man, WrestleMania being in Saudi Arabia, I think that's going to do a lot of damage, not financially, because again, Saudi Arabia is just going to keep throwing money at the problem, but it's going to be interesting to see because the Saudi shows turn people away, and it's going to be interesting to see like TKO not hurting for money because Saudi Arabia, but their American fan base is getting increasingly agitated and maybe even chase some of them away, and then the ratings drop, but it's still their company, like they still exist, but less and less people going. So,
Right. Right. Well,
I don't know. Maybe,
I had, I heard yesterday, they've got a show in Saudi coming up in June,
okay.
and there's a lot of concern right now with everything going on in the Middle East with Iran and Israel and the
Yeah.
U.S. and such. Because I mean, Saudi Arabia is getting their share of incoming missiles and such.
Yeah.
So they were talking about that show, and apparently, Hunter is saying that talent are being given the option whether they want to go or not, and
Hmm.
that whatever will not be held against them. And he did say that they are looking at contingency plans for Mania 43 if the situation deteriorates.
Right. Well,
Because I mean, ultimately, it could end up in an unsafe situation where
yeah. Right.
So who
Well,
knows? I mean,
how courteous of them to give them the option of not going to a potential,
war zone.
war zone, right? I mean, I know Saudi Arabia is not actively involved in any of the fighting going on right now, but it could certainly turn that way
Right?
overnight. Saudi Arabia and Iran do not have a good relationship.
No, they
Um,
don't. And
yeah,
and I do know that at least some of our bases in Saudi have taken some incoming fire. So
right.
uh, you know, who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, it's we could go on and on. The world's a mess right
right,
now, but
right. Well, for OPSEC reasons, I won't delve into too much, but let's just say I have certain friends in certain parts of the world um, that have been, even though they're not even remotely close to Iran, um, geographically speaking, there's a threat.
yeah,
And um, Saudi Arabia, while, you know, in I forget where what's the city called? Riyadh, right? Um,
Riyadh,
Riyadh, my bad.
yeah,
Um, I know that's sort of close to, if I memory calls correctly, it's like sort of like north, closer to Iraq. I might be wrong. Um, but it's not the Iranian government isn't thinking, we got to target WWE wrestlers and all that.
no,
But
I mean,
yeah, no, but you never know what could happen.
right,
All it takes is one heat-seeking missile, which the Iranian government has plenty of, to go haywire, and then sure enough, it collides with a plane and heading for there. So um, definitely would hope that WWE would say, we can get the money elsewhere. Plenty of venues in other places that could not end up risking the lives of our talent and the
right,
safety of our talent. So I would hope that
Though err on the side of caution.
Yeah, err on the side of
Yeah.
caution. Thank you. Yeah, I would certainly hope that that's the route that they take, because honestly, and this is going to get us down a rabbit hole, but I don't see this war wrapping up anytime
No.
soon. Considering American history. So, like, if we're gonna like sit here and twiddle our thumbs and hope that by the time Mania 43 rolls around that the war will be over, I'm not a bet man, but I'd be certainly willing to wager a lot of money that I don't think the war is going to be over by then, or at least even the
No.
hostilities over by then. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Well, but
yeah,
I mean, ultimately, you're talking about an ancient hatred. you know,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
But anyway, so uh, before we wrap all this up, do you have any upcoming shows or anything you'd like to give some hype to?
Yeah, so obviously, shout out to SOS Pro Wrestling. That's I guess, my home promotion, and there's a long story of I have to. So for those that don't know, and apologies for the stash and goatee combo here, I'm probably pulling it off really bad, but this is my last month on active duty. So I was on what's called a CSP, or an internship, here in the Washington area. So that's why for the past 2 months, my off time away from that, I've been performing at various shows up and down Oregon and Washington. But now I have to go back on Tuesday to Georgia. So the whole calendar month of May, I'll be in Georgia. And I'll be, hitting up all the old spots like Pro South Wrestling, WWA 4. I got in touch with, DWA. Shout out to the Wall Tyler Stevens. I'll be heading up to New South as well, near Tennessee. So, couple of shows that I'm going to be touring all up and down, for the last month. You can call it the Steven Calozzi, uh, Southern Exit Tour, whatever you want to call it. But it's going to be my last month in the South before, because June 1st, I'm off active duty, and then I'll be moving back to Washington. Full time, and then doing shows up in the Pacific Northwest for the foreseeable future. So yeah, all of May I'll be in the South doing shows down there, performing in front of Matt, hopefully, at some point at some show. We'll see.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's pretty much all from me.
Absolutely. Well, as far as what we've got coming up on the Throwdown this week, Monday night, I've got episode 220 with a third generation luchador out of the state of Texas, a guy named Chaos Galvan. His grandfather and father were both wrestlers, and the family runs a school out there. So I'm definitely interested in picking his brain and finding out about his lineage and such. And then on Wednesday, Tuesday, the 28th, I've got a tag team from I believe they're also in Texas. Wrestling's Most Wanted, which is composed of Xavier Gotti and Marcello Fuego. And then on Wednesday, the 29th, I've got episode 222 with Sammy Pandora, who is the wife of Keikoa, who is the head trainer down at House of Champions. And she actually has been wrestling for at least the last 10 years, but is mostly out of the business at this point. Still doing an occasional match, but I'm definitely interested in picking her brain and hearing her perspective as being Keikoa's better half, so to speak. So anyway, that's what's coming up. Keep an eye on my socials, because I've got some more that I'll be announcing this week, and I'm actually booked up through the month of May at this point and starting to take bookings into June. So a lot of cool stuff's coming. So
Big time, Matt.
anyway, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So until Monday, be good to each other and love each other, and let's keep throwing down.